Brilliant. Thank you for those readings, guys. We're going to have a think about those images of light and what they mean in a bit. But this is the bit where we actually are going to make our Christingle. It is fantastic to have you here and there at home. A huge thank you to the DT department at school who gave me some help and advice on making this. But I have to say, if it falls apart, that's my construction to blame. So, there will be some opportunities to get involved during this talk. Normally, we'd run around with a radio mic or shout things out. We can't do that. So those of you who are here in church, you'll find in your seats a whiteboard and a pen, and there's also a rubber. And you at home on Zoom, you've got the chat function, so if you want to join in, you can say something on the chat, and Steve, who's on tech at the back, will be able to share that with us. So if I ask you to kind of have a little chat in your groups and hold up a word or something, then that's what you need to do. Boards in church, Zoom chat at home. Just to point out, like Ruth said, hopefully you haven't eaten all your sweets yet, because we're going to need them in a minute. If you have, your Christingle's just going to look a bit pointy without any sort of treats on, but life carries on. The story of the Christingle is a wonderful story, the greatest story ever told, and it begins with God making the world. We live in an amazing world, don't we? I've had a slightly weird life and have been lucky enough to live on a little island in the middle of the ocean. I wasn't by myself, don't worry. I've lived on the mountains. I've lived here in England by the seaside, and now I live in Repton, surrounded by beautiful countryside. What an amazing place to live. I wonder, and this is your first opportunity to get involved, have a little chat. If you could choose anywhere in the world to live, where would it be? Have a little chat. You on Zoom, type something in and Steve might be able to share it. Write a place down, hold up your board. Let's see what you think. Our amazing world. Oh, we've had Seychelles so far. Wales, excellent, very similar in climate. Steve, anything from home? No. Scotland? Oh, this is lovely. Seaside, Cornwall. Jersey? Dear. Zach, you're going to have to write bigger. Oh, yeah, Steve's got one from home.
Right, Louise says next door to Granny and Grandad. Benedict says by the seaside, and they've got one that says Peak District.
Okay, so what an amazing world we live in, by the sea. Perfect, thank you, that's much better. My eyes can read it. So, you'll all, excellent. You'll all have opportunities to contribute. I'll try to make sure I take some from everyone. So, we live in an amazing world. The Bible tells us that God made the world that we live in. The orange in your little packet is a symbol of the world. So I want you to just take the orange that you've got and hold it in your hands. Make sure you're holding it the right way up, otherwise it will dribble down your arm. Okay, take the orange that you've got, hold it in your hands, and as you're holding that orange, imagine God holding the world. God holding the world that God created, the world that God loves. Now, when God created the planet, that was just the beginning. He poured every good gift into the world. He gave us the seasons. He gave us trees and plants and animals and birds and fish. All that beauty and that variety points to a God who is creative and who loves. In your Christingle, the good things are represented by your sweets and other little treats that are in there. So what you need to do is you need to find your cocktail sticks and your sweets. And you need to start carefully putting the sweets and raisins. carefully putting them on. The cocktail sticks are sharp. We don't want to attach your hands to the Christingle, remember? So be careful. You do that side. I'll do this side. You do that side. How about that? Now, hopefully you're managing to do that without poke yourself with a cocktail stick. There are 4 cocktail sticks for each Christingle. Some people say maybe that reminds us of the seasons, spring, summer, autumn, winter, and how God blesses us all around the year. Other people say maybe it's north, east, south, and west. God blesses all over the world. God gives us amazing gifts. Now, as you're pushing those sticks into your orange with those little things on, there's another chance to contribute here. I want you to be thinking, what are the blessings that God gives us? And you'll notice on my Christingle, I haven't just got sweeties and things. I've got a couple of spaces where we can write some of the things that we're thankful for. If you're struggling, look at the prayers we just did. There's some hints in there. Okay, so have a little chat again and write one thing down on your boards. Love. There you go, that's the first one. One thing down on your boards that we can be thankful to God for. So I'm going to write down love. Does that say care or cake? Can I write cake instead? Should write care. Kindness, family, parents. Oh wow. Boys, why? Dearie me. So I'm going to write family because that includes all of that.
Families came up again.
Have we got any from the Zoom? Stephen?
Families and health.
Health, there we go. So we are blessed by all these amazing things. Oh, Steve's waving.
He says Benedict's thankful for food. And Louise's thankful for family and friends.
Benedict, I agree with you on the food.
And I'm thankful for chips.
Yeah, excellent. So, look at your orange now. Your orange has got the cocktail sticks with the sweets on. The blessings that God gives us.
You don't say the S.
But,
no, it's difficult, isn't it?
even though God blessed the world with these fantastic things, God blessed the world so amazingly, still, the world that we live in isn't always a bright, light place. And maybe we've seen that more than before this year. And humans have never been quite as good as we should be at looking after our world, looking after each other. And lots of the things that we do can end up making the world not a happier place, but a sadder place. Not a brighter place, but a darker place. I wonder, what things can you think of that maybe we do that make the world a less happy place?
Sue, Millensted's. They've got their grandchildren. So I took them all a bag with the stuff in.
But the fantastic news. Oh, can you, just so I can see how we're doing, can you all just hold up your Christingles so I can see where we're at? Oh, hello, we've got onto candles in some places. Dearie me. Like some sort of accelerated learning going on here. Excellent. So you don't need to get onto the candles yet. All in good time.
Sticks, so it doesn't mean you have to do 5.
You've got an amazing world that we live in, but sometimes people fight, don't they? Sometimes people pollute. You might have seen a lot this year about plastic in the oceans. And the world isn't the place that it could be. But the amazing thing with this Christingle story is it reminds us that God didn't want our world to stay a dark place. He wanted our world to be a place of blessings. So God sent his Son into the world to be a light for the world. Not a light that shines from a long way away like our sun, but actually, Jesus came to the world to be in the world and shine God's light here. So Jesus was born in Bethlehem, and we're looking forward to celebrating that in 12 days' time. God's Son became a human being, just like us, to bring God's light to a world in darkness. And this is where you need to add your candle. I know some of you have raced ahead. The first thing you need to do is wrap the bottom of the candle in tin foil, and I'll explain what that tin foil is for in due course, but we're going to wrap the bottom of our candle in tin foil, and you're going to place that in your orange. Okay, so you should all have a hole kind of prepared in your orange for that to go in. Excuse me while I cheat. And when Jesus was born, if you remember the story of Jesus' birth, you'll remember that Jesus was born into a dark place. The country that Jesus was born into, the people were being treated badly. If you read a little bit further in the story of Christmas, you'll see that Jesus and his family had to run away from the rulers because they wanted Jesus to be killed. So Jesus was born into a dark place. And that's why Jesus came, because he wanted to bring a light. The world desperately needed Jesus' light. Now, a steward is going to come and light some of your candles. Obviously, we only need to light one in each row. If you're at home, just light the candle when you're ready. Remember, if you're holding a lit candle, you need to hold it upright. If you're having your candle lit, it needs to be tilted onto the side. That's so we don't tip wax. So lit candles need to stay as upright as they can, and the stewards will come round and light them now. Obviously, parents, keep an eye on things. In a minute. We'll do the ribbon in a minute, don't worry. We'll get there.
That's what we said, isn't it? We were leaving it.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to have done the ribbon yet. Sorry? You thought it needed it? No. Right, and then we'll be having Carwyn switching the lights off. Is that okay?
Hopefully the folks on Zoom are lighting their candles as well.
Ah, there's one.
There we go. Excellent.
That looks great.
So, the reason you turn on a light, the reason you light a candle, is because it's dark, although there is a bit of a running battle in our house about leaving lights on all day. But that's another story. So, what we're going to do now, if you're at home, feel free to switch off the lights. We're going to turn off, hopefully, most of the lights. There's a lot of switches, so we'll, see what we can do. Hold your Christingles still. There we go. I can see some of the homes being plunged into darkness with only a candlelight to light them. Brilliant. So as you look round you, you can see the lights from those candles. Enjoy how those lights help light up the room. Do you remember what we heard in our reading? The light keeps shining in the dark, and the darkness has never put it out. But the Christmas story reminds us that the world sometimes doesn't like the light. When Jesus came, he showed up the wrong things that were happening, that were in the dark. He showed up the injustice, the unfairness in the world. And Jesus lived a life that was exactly how it should be. He didn't pollute, he didn't fight, he wasn't unkind to people. He treated people who were poor, or ill, or needed extra care with love and care. He told the leaders that the things that they were doing weren't necessarily wrong. And people didn't like that. What I want you to do carefully now, just put your hand in front of the candle and blow gently. Obviously, we're trying not to spread too much anything. So just gently blow your candle out for now. And in a moment, we're going to add the last piece, but just leave your candle standing up so the wax doesn't drip anywhere at the moment. So, your candle has been blown out. And we're going to add, in a minute, don't do it until the wax is dry, or make sure you're doing it carefully over something. We're going to add the red ribbon to our Christingle. Because what we said was that God loved the world, and because God loved the world, he sent his Son. And even though people didn't treat him right, Jesus lived how he should, and he was a light in a dark world. And so this ribbon that wraps all the way around your Christingles, and just get a parent to help you if that's the easiest way of doing it. This ribbon is like God's love that goes around the whole world. Now, the first thing, when I asked about the blessings, the first thing that somebody said was love. What a brilliant answer. And what I want you to think about now, and I'm going to struggle a little bit to see your boards, so make sure you write big. I want you to think about, how do we know that people love us? How do we know that people love us? And how do we show them that we love them? So have a little chat, and then in about 20 seconds, I'll take some of your answers. How do we know people love us? And how do they know we love them? I should be fine. Hugs. Yeah. I think a lot of people are missing hugs. Kindness. Big kisses. These aren't all my ideas. These are coming from out there. Being nice. You're in the darkness back there. Emoji hearts. Excellent.
Making time for one another.
Making time for one another. Caring. So, brilliant. Thank you for your answers. Presents. Excellent. Someone's planning for next week. Emotions, yeah. So, thank you for your answers. When we put that ribbon round, it reminds us of God's love. And you'll notice the ribbon is red. That's to symbolise Jesus dying on the cross for us. It might seem strange at Christmas time to think about that. But that red ribbon is a reminder that Jesus died on the cross. God's love for us, sending his Son, was shown most amazingly when his Son died on the cross. and that candle went out. But you might remember from our reading, we said the darkness couldn't put the light out. And Jesus' death is not the end of the story, because the Bible tells us what happened next. If you're at home, relight your candle now, and if you're here, be ready to receive the light again from the stewards. I'll keep talking, obviously, but just focus on me and the light will come round. The Bible tells us that even though Jesus died, he came alive again. That shows us that the light of God was brighter than all the darkness of the world. The love of God was greater than any hatred in the world. The peace of God is stronger than any violence in the world. And that is the story that our Christingle tells. The story of the light and the love of God. Jesus came to bring the light and the love of God to every dark corner of the world, in the same way now that the candles are going round and lighting up the church. God's love can light up every corner of the world. Where do you, and you can use your boards again for this, or you can just have a little 20-second chat again. Where do you think the light and love of God are right now? Where do you think in the world we would like to see God's light and God's love come? Maybe it's somewhere you've seen on the news. Maybe it's a friend who you know needs to know God's love. Where do we need to see God's love in our world? Everywhere. That pretty much covers it, doesn't it? Anyone who's written anything else, that has just been covered by everywhere. So thank you, that was very swift. Jesus said in those readings we heard, hospitals, brilliant, thank you. Jesus said in those readings we heard, I am the light for the world. Follow me and you won't be walking in the dark. You'll have the light that gives life. Jesus also said to his followers, you are like light for the whole world. Make your light shine so that other people will see the good that you do and will praise your Father in heaven. How does that light get from Jesus to us and into the world? Well, you might remember that I said I'd come back to the tinfoil. This is it. Tinfoil can be a little bit like a mirror. It's probably the kind of mirror that I use in order to sort my hair out. Can you tell? The mirror reflects things, and in your candle, you might see the light being reflected by that tinfoil. What we can do is we can reflect Jesus' light in the way that we live. The way that we live our lives can be a light for other people. So, my last question for your boards and for Zoom: how will you share the light and love of God today? After this service, in the next couple of weeks, what can we do to reflect God's loving light to other people? What kind things can we do? What loving things can we do? It might be that you don't need to write anything down on your boards, you can just have a little think. Loving, caring and sharing. Thank you, Luke. Steve.
Listening to others.
Listening to other people. More hugs. Excellent. Being kind. Thank you. That candle
being kind.
clinched it.
Got that.
I think you're just going to set light to the board, Alexander. Okay, brilliant. Sharing the message of Christmas. Normally, we'd all be huddled a bit closer together and we'd pass our lights from one to the other, wouldn't we? That's normally how we've done a Christingle. That light can still spread this year. Steve's got something from the screens.
Giving other people.
What was that?
Forgiving.
Forgiving other people. Yeah, sometimes we can forget that. Forgiving other people is really important. This year, we can't pass the light on in the same way. You've passed it down your pews, but that's as far as it goes. But there are ways that you can share God's light with other people, even in COVID. Today and this Christmas, we remember how much God loves the world and each one of us. We can thank God for all these blessings that we've been given. And we thank God most of all for the blessing of his light that he sent when his son Jesus came. In the same way that God has richly blessed us, we can be a blessing to other people. As we heard in our reading, our love should be true love. The love that God gives to us, we can give to other people. When you're eating your sweets, if you've got any left, think of the blessings that God gives. As you're enjoying those sweets, be thankful for the things that we have and think about the things that we can do for others to be a blessing this Christmas and this coming year.